Morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody who is joining us on this webinar today, 2025 year end. From some of our experts here at Fortress Power, you'll have a couple of others joining us throughout today's webinar where we're going to go over what worked, what didn't work in 2025, and what to look forward to in 2026 with some Q&A with Matthew Daniel, our product manager from Puerto Rico, Luisa, hailing from our Mexico office, and we'll have some other engineers and sales staff joining us throughout this hour. Feel free to submit questions in the Q&A. We'll answer those in real time, and you'll get real straightforward answers from the experts at Fortress Power. So I'm going to vacate this space, and we'll start with a couple of questions. And again, feel free to ask some questions right in the Q&A, and we'll answer them as we go along. So without further ado, Matthew, looking back at 2025, what do you think the single biggest shift in the solar and storage energy industry was?
I think, well, with our new government policies, the Big Beautiful Bill was definitely a very big news to the industry. And everything we've done at Fortress Power has prepared us to meet those demands in 2026 for sure. We have a couple new solutions that will be beneficial for our homeowners and installers across the United States. And yeah, we're very excited and looking forward to meet those demands with those products, including the eBoost 16 kilowatt hour battery, and the solo inverter, which is for self-consumption and off-grid community. We've had some success in the past, and we wanted to sort of curtail a product for those customers as well. So we're really looking forward to that.
Luisa, can you expand on that from a Mexico point of view and what's happening in Central America and everything?
Spanish because it's for Latin America.
Sure.
Public.
Yeah.
Ok. Para Latinoamérica y México, todos los productos que hemos estado usando como inversores de 8 y 12 kilowatts de ENVI y eForce, que fue nuestro lanzamiento en este año, que fue algo que vino a revolucionar en proyectos más grandes, más importantes, que han sido liderados y desarrollados este tipo de productos por Matthew y que hemos tenido todo su apoyo. La verdad es que los instaladores mexicanos han confiado cada vez más en nuestros productos, en productos que son un sistema todo en uno, en el cual ellos tienen mejores garantías, más competitivas que otras marcas no tienen. Eso ha sido muy, muy bueno, y en el cual ellos tienen como toda la confianza de seguir apostando por nosotros, y en el cual la retroalimentación de la mayoría de estos instaladores es que ellos están instalando la mejor marca de baterías en México, que es Fortress Power. Y eso a mí me da mucha seguridad, y a ellos también, porque han visto una respuesta inmediata de nosotros. Y para el próximo año, que esperamos, como comentó Matthew, eBoost y unos productos que tenemos especiales para ustedes en inversores, que es el John 9 y el John 15, que van a ser equipos con los que vamos a poder empezar con paquetes un poco más económicos o competitivos, más que económicos, en los cuales podemos empezar con equipos solo en uno, con sistemas solo en uno, desde 5.4 kilowatts hora con iFlex y el John 9. Eso nos va a dar apertura a otro tipo de mercados, no solamente de lujo como los que tenemos ahora, sino para residencias y comercios más pequeños.
Right. What do we think, especially here in America, with the ITC ending in just a couple of weeks? What do we think how that's going to impact the way homeowners and installers do business moving forward?
I think people, since the incentives are going to be effective essentially, I think that customers are going to look for a more cost-effective solution overall. And like I said before, we've set the roadmap for the products to meet those challenges. So with that, having lined up the e-boost and the solo 6.5 inverter, we're gonna definitely be able to meet those demands and meet those challenges.
Yeah, hello everyone. Sorry for being late. I had another meeting, but I'm jumping in. What was the question, Anthony?
How do we feel with the ITC ending in America? How do we feel that's going to impact homeowners and installers?
So some people are very pessimistic. They're like, oh, this is the end of the industry and so forth. But I wouldn't say so. I think what it comes down to is that for a significant period of time, this incentive was injected into the system. Well, yes, it will now. ITC changes will affect the industry for sure, but I think it will increase the competition for sure, and the players that are going to survive this, so to speak, crisis, they're going to come out on top, and we even may see more technological developments, different approaches. This is not the end of the industry. This is encouragement for the energy storage suppliers and manufacturers to be more competitive, to find the new ways of doing business. But fundamentally, our product was not useful and competitive because of the policies. It was competitive inherently because the technology is there and it makes financial sense to have it where it makes financial sense to have it. So there will be changes, but I don't think they necessarily will be negative, but they will introduce this shock effect to the industry as such. And as I said, that shock could turn out to be positive later down the road. It's just the real important question is how we approach that stress.
Lisa, this question goes to you. We have our first question. What is the current retail price for an e-boost 16 kilowatt hour in Mexico?
We already don't have that price until January because the container is in the sea.
Okay.
Yeah, we already talked with our clients, with our distributors, and they say on January 1st they are going to have the real price because we need to import to pay some tariffs and everything. So we don't have that price right now, but it's going to be very competitive. That's it. I don't know if Rodrigo is in. Did you send him because I want him to tell people about CNI products that we are going to have next year.
He's not in there
But did you send?
yet. Okay.
Thank you.
Gio, piggybacking on your answer from the previous question, is there one specific advancement technological wise that you think stands out from this year?
If you ask me personally,
Yes.
I think what we saw in terms of like new technological developments in the sodium battery space, that's very interesting. And we are looking forward to testing it, seeing it, how that really new cell chemistry or newly optimized cell chemistry, let's call it, will affect the industry because LFP, for example, it was not a big deal 10 years ago. And look at it now. It's one of the most popular lithium chemistries. So maybe sodium will be even more popular and will increase interest into our products because it will bring down the price or maybe increase energy density, power density. But yeah, sodium batteries is something that I was really optimistic about when I first read about it. But as always, it takes time. And it takes input from a lot of industry leaders to implement that technology into everyday market realities.
Yeah, there were some players at the last RE Plus show that approached to introduce the lithium sodium ion battery, but it seems still the cost per kilowatt is still a bit high because of what you said, the competition or the demand for it is still low. And we still yet to see what the output of the technology is as
Yeah, and also to Matthew's point, that's why I mentioned leaders of the industry, because it is very difficult to implement new technology like that, especially in our space, if the economy of scales is not there. So if big players decide that, oh, you know what, we can make it profitable for us, and it makes sense to implement that because we have a certain amount of battery cells sold every month or every year, then that could make a little more sense than it would otherwise. Because if you, I don't know, manufacture 100 batteries a month, probably sodium is something that you cannot implement in your lineup. Whereas if you, hypothetical number, if you do 10,000 batteries a week, that's a different story because margins may be slimmer initially, but it could be worthwhile if it's a superior technology and improves itself in the field.
Right, great. Matthew, we'll pose this question for you because you deal with installers sometimes on a daily basis. Were there any specific challenges that installers more than not faced in 2025? And it doesn't have to be Fortress Power specific, could be just industry specific, but maybe there's one common issue that installers frequently ran into in this space in 2025.
So may I, Matthew, before you answer, so can we get a little clarification? So difficulties on the logistics side or difficulties like actually physically installing the units?
And anything. It could also be maybe, you know, supply chain, you know, with products coming in from overseas, you know. And
well, initial uncertainty with policy changes was definitely there, and that was affecting their decision-making strategy because they did. Some of them were like, "Okay, what do I do? Which direction do I go?" Some of them had trouble believing that some of the policies would be retained and so forth. So those were the real initial shock signs that there was uncertainty and they didn't know how to react to it. A lot of manufacturers start really seriously thinking about, oh, how do we move the production here? How do we introduce the product that is made in the USA? Which, if you think about it, if you start from scratch here in this country, building the batteries on a mass scale, what it comes down to is that the process should be suited for the U.S. manufacturing. So that caused a lot of companies to redesign. Matthew, maybe you can talk about that.
What really I was talking about the installers and, you know, when they were getting permitted and stuff. I remember that Fortress Power was one of the earliest players in introducing the UL 9540 DCESS certification in their products. And I remember talking to some of the customers that the inspectors were still sort of looking at the second edition of the UL 9540 a certification where it was still essentially an ACESS product where you had to look at an ACESS output. With the new third edition UL 9540 DCESS, it's the battery that can be certified as an ESS and not the battery and the inverter, where the inverter was just a subcomponent of the system but not part of the ESS. And so we talked with many of the jurisdictions, including California, in Canada, where we sort of had to re-educate the customer saying, hey, this is the newest things on UL 9540, and they are, and basically, when NEC references the UL 9540, they're really referencing whatever edition is at that moment. So.
Yeah. So to that point, previously what I said about the redesign, just to quickly clarify before adding anything to what Matthew has already said. When I meant redesign, what I meant was that some products may be easier to manufacture than the others in the US. So for example, eFlex Max would be more difficult to manufacture here than eBoost, right? That type of redesign, that's what I was talking about. To Matthew's point, I'd not call that necessarily difficulties, but I would call that at least changes. For example, remember when they introduced the UL 1741 multimode?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that was in UL, and because before that, the primary UL certification that the utility companies were looking for from the inverter was UL 1741 PCS-CRD. Now we have addition of multimode. About what you said, Matthew, when you were talking about UL 9540, the way it is nowadays is that the AHJ decides whether or not they will allow bigger groups, bigger storage size in certain areas. Based on UL 9540. So some jurisdictions may acknowledge UL 9540 and say, oh yeah, sure, absolutely. You can have more than 20 kilowatt hours in your garage or whatever. Some jurisdictions may say, oh, we don't care about your large scale fire testing and you will be capped at 20 kilowatt hours. This is not new necessarily to the year 2025, but we were more hopeful that more AHJs would change their approach and would pay more attention to the fact that a lot of manufacturers that do a lot of business in the US have UL 9540 and 9548. And sometimes it's very frustrating that they don't acknowledge that and they impose the limitations that could be avoided if they were to have a different approach to large scale fire testing. Because I mean, any limitation is a limitation after all, right? Any other questions? I'm pretty sure there are. Yeah. You have questions there, right? Or no? No? Oh, he has it. It's chilly here in the studio. We were going for space heater, but we don't have it. So that's why I didn't unbutton my jacket. So I think I was working through.
Luisa, we do have Rodrigo logging in, so we'll introduce him in a minute. But our next question, somebody in Ohio wants to provide backup power for 3 houses and then later add PV instead of a gas-fired generator set, but they're considering a power wall. So why would we choose Fortress Power for a setup like that instead of somebody else?
What was the setup? 3 houses?
3
Yeah,
houses.
so clarification on that. 3 houses with 1 system or 1 system per house? Why are they trying to do?
I don't know, John, if you can expand on your question, we'll be happy to answer it, but why should we do Fortress Power?
If we
instead
don't
of
mind, let
power
me
station?
start as a solutions engineer answering that question, and you guys can have
1 system per house.
yeah,
Yes.
easy peasy. So first of all, they mentioned gas. Ohio, next to Pittsburgh, has a ton of natural gas, right? So I would not be surprised that they would also like to have a generator on top of the energy storage system. Sometimes people choose to have that as a second line of defense, which is fine. And the good thing is that our inverters, for example, integrate generators directly. And per inverter, per MB True 12 inverter or per Duo 21 inverter, we have capability of accepting up to 21 kilowatts of AC power from a generator. Why you would choose a power wall? First of all, look at our beautiful faces. That's what I was talking.
The service.
Yeah.
Yes, and the service.
It's,
Yeah. So technical reasons would be this. I think with Fortress Power, you get more features, right? More features in the sense that you have this generator functionality. You have the inverter and the battery independent of one another. So you can add a little more batteries later down the road, but keep the inverter quantity the same. Yes, Powell 3 has the same feature with their expansion pack, but you have those 13.5 kilowatt hour increments. Whereas with us, for example, if you know that with small increment, you might need to increase the size of your energy storage system, you would go for eFlex Max and you would have 5.4 kilowatt hours. Plus, we have 200 amp pass-through. So the philosophy on our end is a little different, but I still think that it's better than having a meter collar, because you just put in the AC disconnect and interconnect directly to the grid. So you have the pass-through of that power. And then what you do, how you do it down the road, it's up to you. With Tesla, if you have multiple units, you end up with a more complicated or complex system, because then you need to introduce the gateway and so forth. So I would say the reason to choose Fortress Power, as we started, amazing service. you know what number to dial to call us, to reach us. We are very open in our communications. And technical reason, you get more features like the generator or smart load port for that matter. You get plenty of MPPTs. You can accommodate for more complicated roof size. With Duo 21, you can also accommodate for more AC output when the grid is available. You get 16 kilowatts. You're not capped at a backup output of 12 kilowatts, and independent ability to increase the battery bank size without increasing the inverter size. And also with Duo 21, we accommodate for a greater PV input. So Tesla has 6 MPPTs, but if I remember from their spec sheet, the 20 kilowatt PV array is the maximum. Whereas with us, yes, we have only 3 MPPTs, but with 2 of them, you can use 2 strings per MPPT, which allows you to have 25 kilowatt DC array. And what I was talking about, not only myself, but Luisa and Matthew are also saying that, well, the policy changes impact our industry. That's one of the impacts. So for solar to make sense, it now may need to be bigger in size. And we have the inverter that accommodates for bigger PV array size. And yeah, I mean, also, let's not bias. I work for Fortress Power and prefer Fortress Power products to be installed. At the end of the day, the customer needs to make a decision, considering the budget for the project and also considering the features that we offer, ease of installation, quality of service, and so forth. But these are really my reasons why I would recommend Fortress Power.
Yeah, I wish I could say more, but I think Gio said it all. You know, being also at Fortress Power, we inherently started with LFP chemistry since 2016. So we were also one of the first. I think Tesla, you know, they are a very reputable company, but it's now that they're moving to LFP chemistry, to their previous NMC chemistry, because just point blank, you know, it is a lot safer. But we've had that background since 2016, so we know our batteries in and out. Mm-hmm. And like Gio said, you know, we're a big, small company that, you know, you get to talk to us directly for any issues that might arise. So
yeah. Also, one more thing before we move on to the next question. Warranty is also a big factor, because really, yes, it is a piece of technology, but considering its impact on your house being not energy dependent, but sometimes energy neutral or energy active, it matters that this investment is a long-term investment and you can rely on it, that it's not going to fail in, I don't know, 3 years or something like that. I'm not implying that Tesla Power 3 will. As Matthew said, very reputable company. They know what they're doing. They're in line with the new developments and so forth. But I don't remember how much it was. I think it was 45 megawatt hours of throughput for Tesla Power 3s. With us, it's not really apples to apples comparison, because we have in our warranty terms, we have 8,000 cycles to 20% SOC, and or 10 years, whichever comes first. But even if you charge and discharge the battery and with 80% depth of discharge every day for 10 years, if you make the calculations, even if you achieve the process of calculations in the most conservative way, you still, I think, you can check me later, dear viewers, you can calculate yourself, but I'm pretty sure we match or exceed what Tesla is offering in terms of throughput. Again, this is not a direct comparison because terms are different, but yeah, we match and exceed their warranty with our products as much as I can tell. And one more thing, if you go for eForces with NV Duo 21 or 12K in conjunction with the Guardian, you get not 10 but 15-year warranty, which is also a big deal.
As you can see, we have another visitor on the webinar. So Luisa, I will ask you to introduce Rodrigo, and maybe Rodrigo can spend a minute or two on what he does at the company and what's happening in his space.
I want you to ask number 6, so we can begin in there.
Sure. What types of projects grew the fastest this year? Off-grid, backup, CNI? You know.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about both.
Yes.
First, we are developing a lot of new installers in Mexico to install batteries. We are making certifications for sales, product, and installation, technical certifications. And in there, we are having like a lot of more than 100 installers right now in Mexico with this kind of projects for net metering off-grid. We are developing a lot of them in all the country. And the importance that Rodrigo is here, he's in my sales team, and he's the director for CNI developer engineering for CNI. So I want him to talk about the new policies for CNI in Mexico, because we are going to have next year and like 5 to 7 years more for CNI develop in Mexico. That is going to be so important, and to introduce himself and how he can help us in Mexico and Latin America for all those projects. Please, Rodrigo. Thank you.
Thank you, Luisa. Yeah, as Luisa said, I'm in charge of developing the part of the CNI business here in Mexico and Latin America. And speaking of trends in the industry, I think this CNI and utility scale power, but more on the CNI side, the development we're going to start seeing is it's going to be pretty big. It's going to be, I'm predicting exponential growth on this industry. I've seen it here in Mexico, I'm sure in the US as well. The applications like peak shaving, energy broker, time of use, all of these applications are bringing even more savings, and not just relying on a backup system, but using the battery as an active way, as an active member of the grid. So what I'm thinking is, in the next few years, we're going to see a very high growth on the renewable industry, but all hand in hand with the battery development. I think all of the CNI business is going to be the main factor in the growth of Fortress Power as a brand.
Rodrigo, we actually did have a question come in specifically about Mexico. Maybe Luis, you can answer as well.
Mm-hmm.
Can installations in Mexico be done without approval from the power company, considering this an off-grid installation?
It's an off-grid installation, yes. It can be done without approval from the power company, as you are not tied to the grid. If you are tied to the grid, even if it's a zero export system, you do need to do all the paperwork to get interconnected to the grid. But as long as you're doing an off-grid system and not interconnected in any way or shape or form to the grid, you are free to do to use a battery generator, PV panels, any and all source of energy that you might find on where you are located.
Yeah, that's it.
Another question that came in, so I'll leave this to either Gio or Matthew. Are you going to high voltage batteries and inverters?
Can I answer that one?
Yes.
Because sometimes I'm associated with the Avalon product line, because I was working on it so hard. I was promoting the product and so forth. And Avalon is not there anymore. Avalon is not there because of a perfect storm of combination of reasons. But Avalon actually was high voltage. We tried it. The product was there, but the savings that the fact of high voltage introduced were not that great. And also high voltage, some installers found to be more tricky to work with. And at the moment, we don't have any plans of having new high voltage product line introduced on the commercial, on the residential side. Otherwise, on commercial, all of our products are high voltage. And also, truth be told, we tried Avalon. It's not there anymore, but our 48-volt product line is going strong. Thanks to Matthew, him being the product manager, does an amazing job of keeping everything synced up and all the products working together and well. So we don't really see a good reason of introducing high voltage unless it makes the product cost considerably lower for our customers. Matthew, you want to explain on that?
Yeah, we've seen, and I keep
Rotate the camera a little bit so we can see it, Jake.
Yeah.
no, Jake, our Jake, don't let the beauty get cut out. Yeah.
Oh,
No, on the other side, just a little more.
As Gio,
Right there.
yeah, as Gio said, we've had some really good success with the 48-volt product line. And I know I keep mentioning the e-boost, but the e-boost is our 16 kilowatt hour battery, 314 amp hour cell, which is, very popular. It's the most cost efficient cell right now in the market for residential. And so, we've seen how customers will benefit from this. I think there is also the way that we do things in our batteries that competitively, I could say from our research that it is our most powerful 16 kilowatt hour battery in the market with its true 16 kilowatt hour, even out, well, 12 kilowatt hour, 12 kilowatts of continuous output.
And don't be misled. Yes, just like Matthew said, it's 12 kilowatts continuous. Because someone was telling me, oh, that other battery can also do 12 kilowatts. And then I looked at the spec sheet and it was saying that peak output for limited time is a little over 12 kilowatts.
Or our 16 kilowatt hour
Yeah.
battery can do 12 kilowatts.
And even more surge.
Yep.
You can refer to the spec sheet, but that's a very important point, that eBoost can actually match Duo 21 and NV212 in terms of power capacity. So you don't need multiple eBoosts for making them compatible with one NV12K or Duo 21. Just one eBoost is enough for one inverter.
While there are many other, typically, the customers might get two for regions where they don't need a lot of energy or storage capacity. It is matchable 1-to-1 with our NV Duo 21 for the reasons that Gio was saying. It can output 250 amps continuous. So you'll be able to meet all your house demands, but obviously, if you want it to back up for more hours, then I recommend adding a second one for sure. And with our VPP program, it also makes sense. But I wanted to introduce our other colleague here.
Star of the show.
Yeah, the star.
The star of Jake.
Well, no, welcome everybody. I'm Jake Whitney. I am the regional sales manager for the Rocky Mountain Territory, Midwest, some parts of the East Coast of Fortress Power. Been with the company for over 2 years. A little bit about my background is before Fortress, I actually sold solar in the state of Utah for 2 years. I did the door knocking, did the sales, did the financing, and some of the installations. So now I get to be with this wonderful manufacturing company where we're just taking the market by storm. The best inverters and batteries there are to be. So I just flew in from Canada, and I just wanted to jump right in and enjoy this wonderful panel of individuals here.
Well, Jake, we're going to throw you right into the fire.
Okay.
With a question.
I'm down.
But you can tell, right, who's the sales guy. Who presents the best? Right on point. Capturing all the advantages right away.
So, speaking from a residential perspective,
Yes.
sales in the United States, and especially with the recent Holy Cross Energy out in Colorado.
Yeah.
What can you speak to as far as virtual power plant programs in the United States and how they're going to become more common in 2026 now that the ITC is going away?
Yeah, it's a great question. The best answer that I'm going to start with, again, I know I was listening actually to when you guys started out when I was driving here, the 30% tax credit going away. This industry is not just going to survive, but I think it's going to strongly thrive in 2026, just as much as 2025 did. The reason being is solar did not start because the government was giving out tax credits. Solar started and thrived because of grid resiliency, independency, being self-sufficient, and knowing that the time is going to come when electricity costs are just going to keep going up. Because let's be honest, when has a single state or utility actually brought down costs lower than 30% or even 5%? Never. Historically, never. It's always gone in increments. We are now facing a time where we're actually having, let's just call it an electrical crisis, where we have more demand than we ever have had in the States for electricity, for power. Yep. And we're straining our grid. We have more brown outages in all the states ever historically. And all the repairs that the utility companies are doing they're Band-Aids. They're not new. It's not new infrastructure. We are struggling. So when the 30% tax credit goes away, the good companies are going to exist. We are going to restructure, and the good products and the good manufacturing companies are going to stay. Now, how does VPP programs kind of transition to this? So a lot of states, Utah, Colorado, go ahead.
If you could also like briefly explain to people that may not know it, what the VPP is and what it does, how it works.
Yeah,
what's the structure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So VPP is Virtual Power Plant Program. What it is that local utilities create this incentive for homeowners to assign either their solar or their storage to be a part of the utility program, to where if the utility has a certain demand in the evenings or in the afternoons and their power plants can't sufficiently provide it to the houses, they are going to call upon the houses with the batteries to discharge the power into the grid and sustain the peak demand. That is the primary objective of VPPs. Why does it exist? Is because a lot of either small utility companies or larger ones, they can't provide enough power, or because a lot of actual like coal plants, power plants are actually shutting down.
Mhm.
We are having more shutdowns of power plants than we are having more ones being created. So it's why they exist, and it's the purpose. Now, all these programs have different terms, different plans on exactly how long the term is. It could be 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, but the homeowner is getting a little bit something in return. So really, the point of solar is to be like, let's fight the utility company, let's fight the power plant, power plants. I'm all for that, but they need help too. So the homeowner will mostly get like a rebate check up front. It could be anywhere from $1,000, $3,000, $5,000 upfront check. And then let's say if it's a 5-year contract, years 2, 3, and 4, they'll get a monthly credit to offset their electricity bill. Now, why would a homeowner want this? Well, it's to help offset the total cost of the installation. Hardware is one part of the problem. The actual installation is probably the bigger beast. And so with the 30% tax rate going away, the rebate is kind of thinking of like taking that spot to offset the total cost for the homeowner to help, let's say, justify the investment of going more grid resiliency. Yeah. Good use case example again was Holy Cross. So Holy Cross is actually a local utility in Colorado near, I believe, Glenwood, right next to Grand Junction. This utility company wants to be about 80% of renewable energy by 2030, 2035, I believe. Now, in order to accomplish this, they need a lot of solar power. And so they are offering homeowners rebates of anywhere, I believe, $3,000, $5,000, and that's actually given as a check. And then it's a 5 to 10 year contract, and the homeowner's committed for that long, but they get that money to help offset. Now, the scary part homeowners think that I've come across as well, the power company can pull my storage at any time they want to at any given moment. True. But historically, the data is showing they actually only pull maybe 5 or 10 minutes worth of storage, maybe once a week, if that. Now, will that demand increase over time? Yes. I'm not going to be ignorant in that answer because our demand is increasing for electricity. Now, do I see VPPs growing? Absolutely. The Duke Energy Program, North Carolina is growing. And then you have one in Connecticut, you have one in Vermont. You have California, which is littered in VPP programs and rewards. And again, I think the primary reason why these programs are going to grow is because, again, our electrical infrastructure is not improving. We are putting Band-Aids on a broken system, but we are also requiring it to do more for us. So utility companies and the states need to adapt, because with the federal 30% going away, it's really upon the states on, do you want to improve utility? Okay, if so, what are you going to do about it?
Exactly. Yes.
So.
If I may add to that, when Jake was talking about historically they don't pull power from your battery for more than 15 minutes or so, and then he said that that will increase. For sure, it will increase. But also, what I wanted to point everyone's attention to is that they have a limit on how much energy they can take out of your battery. It's not like they can drain your battery to zero and leave you without backup power if the storm is coming. They have certain conditions that they need to meet, and they have certain limits on the discharge of battery. So I would not be too worried about that. In terms of VPP and what Jake was saying, he's absolutely correct. Like, we have not seen 5-year or 10-year period in which the total demand on electricity is not increasing, because new developments of technology mostly run on electricity. No one has a steam-powered mobile phone, right? So we have electric cars increasing in quantity, although not as fast as some were expecting. But electric car could have battery capacity of 90 kilowatt hours. Statistically, that's 3 times what a regular statistical U.S. household uses per day. So all that power will have to come from somewhere. All that power will need to be delivered. So just like Jake was saying, the utility powers will face a choice. Okay, so we need to provide more electricity. How do we do it? Do we build a new nuclear power plant, or incentivize people to have solar so that they have their own means of energy production? And so far, we see that the direction is to introduce new VPP programs, because the existing VPP programs have proved themselves to be successful in resolving this problem to an extent. So is it realistic that the bigger this problem becomes, the more incentives there are going to be? Yes, unless the direction is changed, of which we have no indication so far.
Great. Well, piggybacking on that question and answer, thank you. We do have a question. Is there an intelligent control system that charges the battery with the solar PV array as the top priority and then sends the power to the house?
Yeah, there is checkmark in the NV inverter.
Yeah.
They checkmark charge PV first. So the first priority for PV will be battery, then load, then export. If you allow for export, that's
Great. And the next question, maybe Jake, you can take this one from a sales perspective. Why would somebody choose the eBoost over the eVault Max?
Ooh.
it's outdoor rated.
There we go.
It's also lighter,
Yes.
and it's also smaller. Like, it's narrower in width, kind of comparable. You have wire management cabinet. Jake, take over from there.
Imagine if the eVault Max drank like a slim protein shake. That's what the eBoost is, right? It's a little bit lighter. Now, there's also a couple more variables to this. One is, they were, Mateus, Gio, Luis was talking about, we want to make the installer's life easier. Installation efficiency is so important to making a profit for the installer, but also making sure the homeowner gets a cost-effective system. So the eVault Max, perfect. It's been such a robust and bulletproof system for years. Now, it's been out for how many years now? 4 years.
eVault Max 4 and its predecessor, eVault Classic. We introduced that during or right before COVID, I think. Yeah.
So there's a time and period for batteries to not just evolve, but to become the next best thing. So the eBoost is a 16 kilowatt battery. Now, the truth is the eVault Max 18.5, it is phased out of production. We have limited quantity, but that is just the name of the manufacturing game. Everybody does it. And in order to improve and make the next product, the predecessor to it has to kind of cease there.
I can also elaborate on a couple of things. We've seen that developments in properties have been smaller, so people are putting their energy storage systems outside. Being that the eBoost is an outdoor rated battery, it has heaters integrated. But if you did not want to install it outside and you wanted to install it inside, you couldn't wall mount the eVault Max. And if you want to, you can wall mount the eVault Max.
I heard you saying you could.
And if you put it in a garage setting, at least in California, and I think other jurisdictions as well, if they're complying with the NFPA, you would actually have to install bollards. So with the eBoost, you can raise it to install it 3 feet high in your garage wall and avoid the cost or the additional costs of having to install bollards.
Yeah, let alone the actual advantage of it being slimmer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's taking up less space, like
Correct.
less area of your garage floor.
Mm-hmm. While still having the same electrical specifications of the eVault Max. The eVault Max, you could charge it max 180 amps, discharge it max 250 amps. The eBoost can do the same thing.
Yeah,
and even have
charging is
a higher peak discharge.
But also think of the smaller issues that we kind of view it sometimes as it eliminates the larger ones to installer. Like the eBoost is not just a battery, but the top component, which is my favorite part, is the E-Way. Now, the primary purpose of the E-Way is one comes with a built-in 750 amp bus bar. but it can act as a wire trench, wire management gutter. When installers do these systems, conduit wire can come from any freaking direction on a house. It can come from a critical loads, a main panel, who knows where.
Yeah.
And so you have to bring this wiring all together to connect to the grid. And so, yeah, sure, these wire trenches may only cost $60, $100, but that's also $60, $100 more in the installer's pocket, or they can pass it on to the
Also,
homeowner.
it takes more time.
Exactly, exactly. But the seamless of the install, like we want clean installs. We want them to look seamless, so the inverter can just go right on top of that bad boy and bring that wiring straight through. It looks clean, but also when you have to do servicing, you don't have to go on one direction to another where two pieces of equipment are. You can just go to inverter battery.
Yep. So to summarize, compared to Evolt Max, the advantages: wall-mounted, outdoor-rated, heated, has its own wire management. In the wire management, you have the bus bars, which allow you to have multiple batteries and sometimes even multiple inverters working together without a DC battery combiner. You have more or better power characteristics on the battery side, and all you have lost is 2 kilowatt hours, 2.4 kilowatt hours, which is not that big of a deal. And also you got less cost per kilowatt hour. So, and you can also wall mount this and dock the inverter right on top of it. And all that for the price of 2.4 kilowatt hours lost. I think that's more
It's
than a
amazing.
wise exchange.
The thing of like also the last two hidden benefits of our system specifically, like when we think of the demographic of where we're located, we're in Canada, we're in the States, we're in Mexico, we're in Puerto Rico, soon to be some other continents, but that's not my disclosure. But a lot of our installations, or like a lot of our clients, are in cabinet or not, they're in cabins, they're in mountains, they're in high elevation, low elevations, that built in here because I'm no engineer, but cold and elevation affects the ability of a battery to run. So a built-in heater that's already done inside a battery for the homeowner, for the installer, done. Let's do it for you. But number two, our batteries can go up past 8,000 feet. Not many manufacturers are willing to stamp their approval for that kind of system, but we can. We'll even go past 10,000 feet with some, of course, stipulations and some, let's say, adjustments.
Yes, yeah, we will have to derate the system. So to Jake's point, quickly cover this because I'm sure some people will be curious. So higher you go in terms of elevation, the less density of air you have. Less dense air means that air-cooled things are not well-cooled anymore. But we have such an efficient thermal package with this enclosure that they are well cooled and also they are well heated. So it's kind of best of both worlds. It's like all season tire. I know that winter tires are better in winter than all seasons, but they suck during the summertime, right? So we are giving you an optimal with a very wide temperature and elevation range, right? So if you're gonna install the system, if you can't find anything better, sure, go for it. But as far as like standard product goes, I think this is as good as it gets with the chemistry that it has inside.
So long story short, e-boost is the way to go.
Yeah, this is the way.
Is what we're saying.
Well, thanks everybody for being here and participating. There are a couple more questions that came in through, but we're going to answer them directly because we are coming up on the hour. So just to close it out, and Luisa, I'll start with you and then you can go down the line.
Yeah.
What are you most excited about for 2026 and beyond? Whether it's Fortress Power, industry, Mexico specific, what are you most excited about?
Yeah, I am very excited with Mexico that we are going to expand more with new products for residential and for CNI. In CNI, we are having more and more kind of different projects, not just industry, like we are having hotels, we're having buildings, another kind of things that we are coming in, and a lot of restaurants, that right now they are understanding that they need this kind of backup. So our installers are going to have more and more work with us, and we are supporting them because we have a lot of scenarios with our inverters. So that's something that really is exciting because we are going to grow more that in residential and CNI. And the other thing is that we are going to expand and go to market to Central America. So that's very exciting because more installers are coming to next year.
Great. Gio, is there something specific you're excited about?
Well, for the industry, I think we've covered it well enough. I'm excited about how different companies are going to find different ways of making this industry better. But on kind of my personal level, I'm excited about starting actually working in the commercial team as well. So I'm now responsible for Inspire Mini and just a very little of Inspire products. And yeah, I mean, even before I got involved in the commercial department, I was seeing an increasing demand on the three-phase products using our residential systems. Jake is here. He has brought so many of those projects to us for review, for clarification, and a lot of interest was there for commercial installations. And I think that is one of the bigger things, bigger new developments that we're going to see, that there will be more, I want to say, under megawatt hour storage systems for commercial applications. And yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, from the company's perspective, I'm really excited that next year we're gonna officially launch the newest app, Fortress Power. It's gonna have the homeowner app, the installer app, and then the revamped Keystone Fleet Management Portal that we've been working so hard on. So everything is very intuitive, very guided. So people that may not have had experience with our products, it gives them that step-by-step guidance on how to commission the system. And I'm very excited for when it all comes together next year.
Yeah, I saw the app, just to Matthew's point. I saw the app, looks very professional. And it is something that even non-technical person would understand well how to use and find it useful. So yeah, absolutely, Matthew, you're right on. Yeah.
Jake?
Oh, 2026, I'm already ready. I'm ready to go. I think that, I know. I think that the healthy companies and the healthy practices are going to thrive. I think we're going to go back to what made solar thrive to begin with. We're going to go back to our roots. It's not just about bill swapping these days. I'm excited to see companies such as us and our install partners kind of adapt and see how that pans out and kind of go to our core values. I'm excited also to see how, like, when installers pair with the right manufacturing companies that just don't care about the product, but we care about like the function in our client base. That's what's most important. Like, I think Fortress Power has the best freaking engineers. Fight me on it. I'll take you on. We have the most passionate salespeople in the company.
We are.
And yeah, Luis is a stellar shining star for that. I think that we are going to thrive as Fortress. The people who work with us are not just going to stay put, but they are going to thrive as well. So we're not just a sales and a product company. We're solutions, right? So we'll see A to Z, the whole process. I think 2026 is going to reflect that perfectly.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would like Rodrigo to give us
thank you, Luisa. Yeah, just as Jake said, I think I always say in the trainings that I do is we're not selling PV panels, we're not selling batteries, we're selling energy, we're selling energy solutions. And I'm excited because I think 2026 it's going to be a very good year for battery technologies and projects, and it's going to start leaving that the market, I think, is going to leave that stage of being like a newcomer and start solidifying and growing very, very good. So I'm excited for next year.
Awesome, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm off camera, so Gio, do you mind just wrapping it up real quick? Just thanking everybody for.
You see what it reads right here? Secure your energy with Fortress Power. For you to better see it, I'm going to make it brighter. Right? Do this. Yeah. So again, we're working really hard to deliver the products that you need, that you want, that your customers want, that make your lives easier, which incidentally would make our lives easier, because we don't like those angry calls that, oh, I installed this and the light is on when it's supposed to be on, but still, that's beyond the point. So, but we are really, really working hard to please you with our new developments, new products. Please understand that sometimes we know what we want, we know what you want, but we also need to work with the limitations that are coming from and emerging from the factors that unfortunately we cannot really influence. So it's not that we cannot make better product. We can definitely make better product, but not within the limitations that are imposed on us and on our industry. So we're doing our best, and please do your best with us. Work with us. We are proud to have such a great customer base, such a loyal customer base, and we are seeking for more and more installers to appreciate the work that we do, so that we can work with them and provide the solutions that they're really looking for. And with that, I think we can wrap it up, unless you guys have anything else.
No, just buy our batteries, you know?
Just buy our batteries.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, good holidays.